On June 18, 1815, Napoleon met his match at the Battle of Waterloo. After 15 years of warfare across Europe, Napoleon's final stand would take place in Belgium. The French emperor had already lost most of his army in the previous battle, and against a superior British force led by the Duke of Wellington, Napoleon's defeat was inevitable. Yet this wasn't the first time Napoleon had been defeated. In fact, he'd been defeated so many times that it was almost expected. Yet each time he managed to rally his troops and come out on top. But this time would be different. As the British and their allies advanced on Napoleon's position, the French emperor's soldiers began to panic. Some units broke and ran, while others stood their ground and fought to the death. There were perhaps 30,000 French soldiers present at Waterloo, but only a fraction of them were actually fresh troops. Many had been wounded or exhausted from the previous battle. They needed rest, but they didn't get any. Instead, they were forced to march on the British, who were fresh and ready to fight. Wellington had anticipated Napoleon's attack and had taken measures to ensure his army's defense. As the French advanced, British artillery opened fire, mowing down the enemy soldiers by the hundreds. Despite the heavy losses, Napoleon ordered his troops to keep advancing. He wanted to break through Wellington's lines and take Brussels, which was only a few miles away. If he could capture the city, its garrison of 20,000 soldiers would bolster his ranks and turn the tide of battle in his favor. But Wellington had other plans. As Napoleon's forces drew closer to Brussels, the Duke of Wellington sent out cavalry to intercept them. These cavalry charges broke up the French advance and prevented Napoleon from capturing the city. With his plan of attack thwarted, the French emperor was forced to retreat back to France. But before he could do so, he was met by another British force, led by General Blücher. Blücher-Espréchans had been marching on Waterloo all day, and they were eager to get into the fight. Napoleon desperately needed to escape, but with his army exhausted and his enemies gaining ground, there was no hope for escape. At around 8 p.m., Napoleon's aide approached him and told him it was time to go. The emperor had been fighting for 15 hours, and the situation was hopeless. As Napoleon rode away from the battlefield, he knew he had lost the war. Napoleon would eventually be captured and exiled to the island of St. Helena in the Atlantic Ocean. He spent his final years writing his memoirs and dictating letters to his family. On May 5, 1821, Napoleon died of stomach cancer at the age of 51. He is buried in a small chapel on the island where he died. If you enjoyed this video, check out the series in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe for more Napoleonic Wars content.